Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. And now to honor America, please join in the singing of our national anthem. Representing the three-time Stanley Cup champion New Jersey Devils, Arlette.
I feel like I'm at a game. Oh my gosh. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Happy Devils Sunday. This is the Let's Go Devils podcast, season 4, episode 36, titled Devils Goalies, Best and Worst of All Time. I'm your host, Sam Wu, here with Scotty of SiriusXM Liquid Metal, streaming live on Facebook Live, Twitter Live, YouTube Live, and Twitch on the Primetime Radio Network. As everybody's filing in on the Facebook Live, YouTube Live, I see the viewers saying Happy Devils Sunday. Mike Rossi, I see Ryan Mann, all getting into the conversation about Devils goalies, best and worst of all time. Sorry for the delay of getting on air. We were having, or at least I was having, pronunciation issues with some of them. Still trying to figure it out. So I'm just going to wing it, and hopefully I'm right. But I'm relying on you, the fans, to criticize and tell me that I'm wrong on my pronunciations. Scotty, welcome. How's your weekend going?
What's up there, Sam Wu? Yeah, it's a Labor Day weekend. I'm in the midst of watching some AEW all-out pay-per-view. CM Punk return is about to happen, and pretty excited to talk about some Devils goaltenders. I was going through, just some research earlier today and yesterday, just looking up some old stuff. I had some stories in mind, and then I was like, Am I remembering that correctly? And it turns out I was. So, I have some fond memories that we're going to talk about, some crazy stuff. We're going to hear a lot of names that were like, oh yeah, forgot about that guy. But we also have some other news that just kind of broke over the past couple days. Yeah. And first off, before we even get there, I just want to say, because I'm out here on the West Coast in Los Angeles, so I feel like I'm kind of out of the loop on everything. You'll notice Beer Baron is not with us tonight. There's been a lot of flooding going on back there in Jersey and everything. So I just want to send all my, well wishes out to everybody who is dealing with that. Saw a lot of stuff go underwater. Reminded me a lot of, when I was, what was it? Hurricane Floyd, was it in 1999? Yeah. I remember when the Patriots stadium filled up like it was like a fish tank, like it was, a few days ago. So just sending all the love the Devils love, the metal love, everything that I got, the outlaw love, everything out there to everybody in Jersey. Dealing with that right now.
Absolutely. Beer Baron, also, they're okay. But he also asked me to ask you if anybody knows any contractor that specializes in this kind of remediation, flood remediation, or any of that. Just email me at sam@letsgodevils.com if you recommend somebody, because it's hard to find a contractor right now. Also, Shorts Guy also got hit a little bit as well, and he spent the entire night trying to keep his basement studio dry. It was pretty bad there. I got lucky. I'm very fortunate, but I know there's a lot of fans that weren't. Hardline Betty had her car swept away, so it was a very serious
man.
storm. Yeah,
I saw so many pictures. I was shocked by that. Talking to my mom, she sent me a couple pictures, right down the block from her. And then, they took a drive out and saw everything on the old Route 22 there, and just cars just moved all. I was just, so my love goes out to everybody, and I hope everyone is doing well and can be recovering as best they can. Anyone, out there, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, anyone is dealing with that, much love to you.
Absolutely. So let's transition to goalies. Goalies. Well, actually, not goalies.
Wait a minute. Hang on.
More news.
Well, hang on. Yeah, there's more news. I almost forgot. So, but we also want to mention Devils wise. There's been a couple things that have popped up out there. One of them being that the Devils are going to take part. Excuse me, can't talk right now. Take part in the Prospects Challenge with the Buffalo Sabres and the Boston Bruins. So this is going to be September the 17th, 18th, and 19th. And our boys are going to be playing on the 17th and the 19th. 17th against the Sabres, 19th against the Bruins. And, we've spent a lot of time, especially on this podcast, talking about all the prospects that Fitzy has been building, that Ray started out with, and Fitzy's been building since that time. And we've been waiting and hyping, and, this is going to be a chance to maybe catch a quick glimpse out of them, and that'll be the first thing on the docket. Samuel I'm hoping for some Alexander Holtz time in there. I don't know about you. Or Dawson Mercer.
I'll tell you what. They're going to be up in Buffalo. I'm going to hit the Buffalo Wings in my local place that I get my Buffalo Wings at. I'm going to be watching the games. And
they're called
restaurants.
Scotty? Restaurants. That's what they're.
Scotty, we got to talk about, maybe that should be our warm up for Devils post game. Let's go Devils post game. We'll watch it online, and then we'll comment. Hey, that was great. And the Devils streaming has gotten so much better over the years. When they're streaming the games. Remember when they first started streaming? Yeah, it wasn't so, but they finally got it right. They do all this live streaming content. In full disclosure, I am a participant of the Devils PA announcer applicant contest, or whatever you want to call it. So I'm kissing up a little bit. But no, seriously, they've probably got a crew up there, and they're going to stream it, and we'll give you our analysis as well as we're tuning up for season 5 of the Let's Go Devils podcast.
Well, so are you saying we should do a post game after the Prospects Challenge? Is that what you're saying, Samuel?
Yes, and I may do the Let's Go Devils game day pregame thing.
Kind of like a little preseason for us,
Yeah, so this is where we screw up. This is where we screw up. We do everything live. We do everything live.
So September 17th and the 19th, you're going to be doing a little pregame and a little postgame for the Prospects Challenge. And am I getting that right? Yes, the 17th against the Sabres and the 19th against the Bruins. That should be fun.
Okay, good. That doesn't
Dawson Mercer, Alexander Holtz.
Penn State football. Okay. Yeah, I'll be ready. Sorry.
Anyone on who would you be excited to see? Anyone on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter? Let us know. who you would be excited. I got to go ahead and log in here to the old Facebook Live. Who would you be excited to see? At this Prospects Challenge. I know there's a lot of them in there that hopefully, will Kevin Ball probably be playing there? I wonder if Muhammad Doolin would be coming over. There's been some nice articles about him as well. Hit us up in the comments.
I don't think he would. I think he's staying another year in Russia. I could be wrong.
Okay.
But yeah,
hit us up on the comments and let us know, what you think of all that. And then there's also been the announcement, which I know people are going to have. Some people are going to be very excited, and some people are going to have issues with. But the NHL has agreed to go back to the Olympics in February. And our good friend Beer Baron, he was, like I said, he's not with us tonight, but he was very adamant. He wanted to talk about this, NHLers going to the Olympics. I don't even know when they're announcing the teams or anything like that. And he was so adamant. And then I started looking because I'm like, who from the Devils is really going to be on the Olympic teams? All right. We know Nico's going to be there for Switzerland. Okay. We know Dougie's going to be there for Team Canada. And then is Jack Hughes going to make the U.S. roster? Pavel Zacha will probably be there for the Czech Republic. It's maybe one per team, you know what? Siegenthaler will probably be there for Switzerland too. So they'll have Nico. But Jack Hughes may be slotted in there, at center on the third or fourth line. And then I'm looking at some of these predictions, and we all have heard the talk from Mr. Beer Baron. I think the Devils should go get Johnny Gaudreau. I think Johnny Hockey should come back to New Jersey. And what do you know it? A lot of the projections have Jack and Johnny playing together on a line. And of course these are all projections and everything like that. No one knows where they're going to line up. And now I'm it's starting to click in my head all of a sudden why Beer Baron wants to talk about that. Also, he seems to line up nicely with the Tkachuk brothers, which that could be a nice, interesting thing to look into in a year or two. But we'll see where that happens. But now it's all starting to make sense in my head. Johnny Hockey and Jackie Boy playing on the same line for Team USA. It's kind of a nice little trial. Although the Olympics, I don't know, bigger ice surface. USA never seems to really do that great.
Yeah, well, in all seriousness, because there was a lot of talk about Team China being ranked 32nd in the international competition, basically dead last, and they get an automatic berth, and there's been a widespread criticism. Okay, they got a Canadian coach, but against Team Canada, because they got the luck of the draw or unlucky, I guess they have to play Team Canada. Can you imagine Connor McDavid against Team China, not ready and all that? I will say this, folks, and I say this with
Sam was getting serious. I think he's saying it with seriousness.
I'm being serious about this. I have no, my opinion is genuine. If you want to grow the game, and with the population and economic, about China and all that, take the NBA route and market the game to one of the biggest countries on earth. It's going to grow the game. I know Team China is going to get their butts whipped 100-0, but it may do something. And it may, if you have another country like China, and then you've got Russia and all these other countries, Canada, United States, it could grow the game exponentially like you wouldn't believe. It's an untapped new market. It's going to take time. Let's have fun with it, because I've been reading a lot of the criticisms about it. It's you got to have, if China doesn't have hockey 30 years from now, it's just your growth potential stops at some point. You have to be inclusive with every country. And there's going to be growing pains. Team USA, took 1980 before it really got going. That was the first step, and I like to see that. I like to see big and better competition. That's just my opinion on it. I just wanted to add that in there when we're talking about Olympics.
All right. I just want Nico Hischier in a bubble. I don't want him to. That's my main concern. Is I don't want Nico getting sick. I don't want anything else happening to him. I want him in a bubble.
Yeah, that's true
for the times that he's not playing hockey. That's what I want. That's if they can confirm that with me and the Let's Go Devils podcast, that would be fantastic. Nico Hischier must stay in a bubble when not playing hockey games during the Olympics. That's what it has to be. They can wheel him around everywhere. He can just go wherever he wants. Just bump people out of the way and everything. It's Nico Bubble coming through.
Absolutely. All
Bubble
right,
boy.
So we should probably get to the topic at hand. Devils goalies.
Devils goalies. Best and worst of all time. Aside from goalies, named Brodeur. No, we can all talk about a good Marty story here before we get out. We all know that Marty is, the greatest and, ever, not just on the Devils, ever. Marty is the best. So we'll get to all the good Marty stories in a little bit. But yeah, we should talk about some of the best and worst of all time, goaltending here. And, it's funny because there's the goaltending list obviously isn't as long as the, the forwards and the defensemen. And it really brought back a lot of, memories for me as a kid, when I was first becoming a Devils fan. Chris Terreri and Craig Billington, were in net. And I remember always loving Billington's mask, and I remember, oh man, what was it? That Pittsburgh series. I mean, it was the first round of the playoffs. We had no chance against Lemieux and Yager and all them back then. But I remember they put Billington in for, I don't know if it was like game 3 or game 4. I think we only lost 6-4 or something like that. But I mean, we still got crushed. But I remember I was so excited for Billington to get in there because he was like the backup goalie, but he had the cool mask. I was a little kid. Those two, before Marty came on, those two were, just entrenched in my brain there for a little bit. And Billington only played on the team for like 2 years, right? I think it wasn't a really long run, but he was just like in my head, that mask. Everyone loved that mask.
Mm-hmm. Well, can I need to answer Ryan Mann because he wrote something in the Facebook Live. Marty is technically the best and worst, most wins and losses. Technically, Ryan, but I have to say this.
Most games played.
Most games, but it should be really based on winning percentage. Yeah, he's probably has the all-time leading losses, but hey, if you play 20 years or 20-something years on one team, of course you're going to be in the lead for losses. It's impossible not to. It's just like saying a pitcher in Nolan Ryan is the all-time leading loss leader for the Texas Rangers or Houston Astros or whatever, just because he played for so long, that kind of thing. So I just want to point that out there. I'm very protective of Marty's records, so I just have to set the record straight.
All right. Pitbull over here. Pitbull Sam Woo. But I remember that series. I mean, Lemieux and Yager were insane at that time. They were just firing on all cylinders. But I was so excited. I had, at that time, for quite some time.
But remember part 2, Lemieux and Yager in 2001, Eastern Conference Finals. Do you remember that highlight reel where I think it was Lemieux and Yager against Brodeur, 2-on-0 practically, and Brodeur saved it one, and then rebound and saved.
Yes,
what a difference 10 years makes.
It's very true. It's very true. Marty had so many good moments like that as well. But We'll get to him. Also, and Chris Terreri too. I was telling Sam Wu before we started here about Terreri. I'm recalling Terreri used to have this move, and I don't see a lot of goalies do it anymore. But Terreri used to have that move where he would use his blocker to deflect the puck, at a play. Slap shots. Defenseman would go down. Old school. Defenseman would go down to take out the bottom, and goalies wouldn't drop into the butterfly. They would stay up, and then the shot, when it was higher, they would just go and deflect it. And we will all recall the netting wasn't really what it is today. And those pucks used to go flying everywhere. But I used to remember Chris Terreri doing that all the time. And I was telling Sam Wu here before the show, I remember one time, I don't know, Marty got like dinged up or something like that. And Terreri came in. And I remember him, there was a big shot on like a power play. And he just kind of pushed Dano out. And Dano went down, slid, took out that low shot, and Terreri was just there. And I just remember him like Doc Emmerich used to say, waffle boarding away, woo, and just right out of play. It's a move that goalies really don't use anymore. Shooting the puck out of play like that. You don't see them using their blocker like that.
Do you know what it reminds me of?
What's that?
Jim Craig. That 1980
Jim Craig.
Mm-hmm. Same similar style. I'm wondering, I would love to ask Terreri, being a U.S.-born goaltender, if that was something he emulated Jim Craig, because it's very similar what you were describing. That waffle board save is what Doc Emmerich would say. But yeah, and Chris Terreri, remember his nickname? T-Bone. Hey, and listen, Chris Terreri also, he eventually, I think he got traded to San Jose, where I think he was the starting goalie when he got traded back over to San Jose. And he eventually came back and was, the goaltending coach for the Devils for a while as well. So he had a lasting impact on the team, more than I think sometimes people realize. Absolutely. Is he on the island now? I think Lou poached him. I think he's assistant coach. Or
is he? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I thought he was working back down in I thought he was doing the AHL, but he might be back. Hey, if you get the opportunity, go for it. Good for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And speaking of New Jersey goaltenders who some of us may know a little bit more about from their post-career, this time as an announcer. How about Glenn Chico Resch? Good fan of the podcast over here. Chico, I mean, for me personally, Chico was almost, it was kind of too young. That was before I was even, like I was saying, the Terreri Billington is when I really started, understanding and following and really knowing what's going on with hockey and everything like that. So Chico is someone, as a fan, I, obviously discovered after the fact kind of deal, because I was way too young. I was only like, 2, 3 when he was on the team there, so, but it's, him as an announcer, it's funny. That's how I know him more, obviously coming over from Colorado and everything like that, but him as an announcer is what really, sticks out in my head, when I think of Chico.
Great New Jersey Devils ambassador.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when he came, and he said it on the podcast, when he came, it was about doing something special in the area. I mean, won a cup with the Islanders. Eventually, he took it to heart when he got traded to Philadelphia Flyers. And he tells the Rick Tocchet story all the time. Rick Tocchet knocked him around, and then by the time he got there, he apologized. And the reason why he had to do that, otherwise Mike Keenan would have been pissed if he didn't do anything to him. So don't take it personally. So and Josh Hahn says on the Facebook Live that Doc and Chico was the greatest announcer tandem in the history, in my opinion, for the New Jersey Devils. I would agree. I mean, they hit at the right time, and the chemistry was impeccable. And
oh yeah, and that's
Yeah.
not something you could have predicted. Their chemistry, they just worked magically together. Because Doc was so professional, but he was so smart about it too, and he was very witty. But Chico was just very, very player-esque. Very just blurting things out there, kind of just finding his way, finding his groove, and their professionalism from Doc and the realism from Chico. You can hear his passion. You can hear when he gets upset with calls and the plays, and like that realism really came out between them, and it was just an amazing dynamic. If anyone out there who's listening right now, if you got to see any games that Chico played, please hit us up on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, Twitter, whatever. I obviously, like I said, I was too young. Did not get a chance to see him.
I mean, it was basically in diapers in those days, Well, actually, I was 4 or 5 years old. Yeah. Well,
yeah. Should we also? Well, we'll save it for the very end. We'll mention
the only Chico clip I remember is he wasn't even on the Devils. He was on the Flyers, that brawl up in Montreal.
Oh,
Flyers. And Chico's trying to hold people back.
Yeah. From wasn't it Hex or who was he? No, it wasn't Hex. It was
Ed Hospodar. I think he was. I think it was
Claude Lemieux. Yeah, it was Claude Lemieux that shot the puck. Yeah. But and then there's our favorite Elaine Chevrolet.
What'd you say before? Lame Chevrolet?
The dude that unfortunately ran into Ron Hextall's fist in that one fight there for a little bit. Poor guy. But he's a really good dude. And, that's as unfortunate, memory as a New Jersey that people will always bring up,
Yeah.
I remember that fight. Remember that fight when Hextall got 8 in a row in on you real quick? They always show the highlight of.
But think about on the flip side, Corey Schwab. Corey Schwab.
Listen.
Oh, sorry.
I love me some Corey Schwab. I've told the story 1,000 times. If you got a Corey Schwab story, go for it. I'll relive my glory in a little bit, but go ahead if you got one.
No, look, he was young, skated down the ice. We know that story, but he came back in 2003, was the backup goaltender for Martin Brodeur, and won a cup with the Eagles.
Yes,
and that's a remarkable story. I mean, you who would ever thought that a goaltender, is first known with his fists, and then played around the league, comes back and wins the cup. A Stanley Cup with your name on it. Big part of the team. I mean, you know what? When Brodeur was out, you had to have somebody fill in, at that time. There was no let-up. The thing about backup goaltenders with Brodeur, for almost every season, you were always in the playoff hunt and you were always in positioning. So it wasn't like you threw a backup goaltender there thinking the season's lost. No. Those 2 points could have meant 4th place or the division. And it's not easy to keep, fresh and sharp, especially behind Marty Brodeur. Just wanted to point that out there.
Yeah, when he's playing 70 games a year, that's hard to do. It's hard to stay sharp. But also, someone to mention was wait, did we talk about Corey yet? Did we talk about old Corey Schneider yet?
No, we have not.
Okay. Well, I'll explain to you why. Oh, poor Corey. I feel like he was doomed from the start. There was just no way around it. First off, you're trying to replace a legend, the legend of legends. It's very rare that happens on the first shot,
Yep.
And coming in, his big moment was the trade when Lou, sprung the deal for him and traded the pick that eventually became Bo Horvat, right up there in Vancouver.
That's
and,
correct.
Marty was obviously not too pleased with the with the trade.
He wasn't told. Neither was Hedberg.
Yeah, and he's another one we have to talk about too, the Moose, because we all love doing those Moose chants. But Corey came in, and I just knew replacing a legend is never gonna go well the first time out, and the legend was not ready to go at all. He felt so much so that he went to St. Louis for a few games there, at the end of his career. It caused a lot of friction, and I don't think it was poor Corey's fault. Then he ended up getting hurt, and poor guy, he was behind Luongo, he had a string of bad luck in his career. Awesome guy, apparently. Hey, he was putting up Jack Hughes. He was housing Jack Hughes there for a while, or was it Nico? No, it was Jack Hughes, right? He had Jack Hughes at his place. He took his demotion, like a man. Like he never complained. He was always a warrior. Gentleman
off the ice.
Yeah,
gentleman off the ice. Anybody that's got an autograph from Corey, just a genuinely beautiful human being. Character is great. I have a couple of Corey Schneider stories, if you wouldn't mind.
Let's, because I feel like everything about him with art, because it just always seems like it was always in that with Corey, so if you got something, let's hear one of these nice positive stories about Corey.
Number one, I don't think Lou should have traded for him because he would have been a free agent, unrestricted. Okay.
First thing. We never should have got him. But let's be nice to Corey. Never should have traded for him.
But what's done is done, and I will tell you how he won me over. How Corey Schneider won me over.
Okay.
He was always a good sport. That year, the Devils had the season ticket holders skate with the players. Of course, like a knucklehead, my cousin, Marty Wu, dressed up like Marty and had to go to that skate. And what Marty told me, Marty Wu, that is, that dressed like Martin Brodeur with the full goalie pads, skated by the Corey Schneider line because his line was long to get his autograph. And Corey was looking and my cousin Marty Wu, with the full Martin Brodeur gear, went up to him, hit his chest, "Meet me afterwards. I'll give you an autograph later," and then skated away. Laughed his ass off. And then another Corey Schneider story. It was, again, another season ticket holder event. My wife and I were there. This was we got in because of Arlette. It's the rich people section, night out. It was like a gala of some sort, kind of like a high-end event. And Corey was there, and you spoke to him, and he took pictures, and he was nothing but a complete gentleman. Not because he had to be, because he was one. Because you can tell sometimes when you talk to a player that he was always – that when you talk to Corey, he ignored everybody in the room. He was actually talking to you personally.
Yeah.
And, and all that. And that's what won me over Corey Schneider, that he was just put in a weird, unique situation and made the best of it, because he had literally statistically some good years with the Devils, but the Devils were just at the same page.
They just weren't.
Corey.
Yeah, no.
No. Definitely not.
Yeah, he didn't. I mean, they didn't win anything, really with him, unfortunately. It was just, like I said, it was a lot of bad luck I feel like Corey had in his career with just timing and things like that. You know, he got to play the third period of the outdoor game. Marty had the first two when they got, after the ice and the sun and everything like that. But I mean, that game was over. It was like whatever it was, 7-3 at that point or something. So 6-3. So yeah, you just kind of feel bad for Corey because he is like just a stand-up character guy. He was a really solid goaltender for us for a couple years there. Where he held the team in a lot of games when, he was playing on a subpar team there, like he was the strong point of a subpar team that kept us in a lot. So you feel bad for Corey and you wish things went a little bit differently, obviously. But I always just feel bad for him because he's such a stand-up dude. And I just feel like he got how do you replace a legend? Like how do you replace a legend that doesn't want to go yet? It's like
it's usually messy. And it's usually messy. Like if you go to history of sports, the whole Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers thing, that was messy. But then again, you look at Drew Bledsoe and Tom Brady. That was there was some competition there, but that was much better than the other. But it's not easy to fill Marty's shoes. But I think we should acknowledge. It almost seems like Corey Schneider. It's not the same thing. Remember Bill Buckner?
Of course, it gets by Buckner. Everyone knows.
Yeah,
poor Bill. And then he's like he's a Hall of Fame first baseman. He's a Hall of Fame first baseman. He's out there playing on no knees at that point, and he can barely even bend over.
Loathed by Red Sox fans. As soon as they win in 2004, it's like, oh, you're forgiven. We love you again. And then the healing started. It just almost felt like that. Not to that extent, but it just. But in the end, unfortunately, I have to say this. He was the best. Corey Schneider's role, history will remember him, the best goaltender you could ever ask for to follow to follow Martin Brodeur. Unfortunately, there's no cup. There's none of that. But it wouldn't have been a more classier person to take that role.
He's definitely a class act, and like I said, just some bad luck and bad timing for Corey in his career. But speaking of goaltenders that had a long run on the Devils, other than Marty Brodeur in the modern era, there was that one time we were spoiled. I want to talk about Marty stories. There's so many of them because he played so many games. He played 70 plus games a year. It's crazy when you can always rely on number 30 right over there. Number 30. So right behind me, you get it. Number 30, is between the pipes. However, there was that year. We all remember that year, the torn bicep year. And it was our old friend, Scott Clemenson, who came in for a magical run with the Devils. They ended up falling short, okay? But that year, they started playing and hustling, and they won so many games and got themselves into contention. They didn't make it all the way, but they got themselves into contention, down through the season with just an incredible stretch of play there in like the last third of that season with Scott Clemenson. And, he put up, I don't think anyone thought, we would ever start playing to that level, without having Marty back there because we were so used to him being there. 70 plus games every single year since 1994, you're like, what? What do you mean he's not there? What are you talking about? Huh? You mean Corey Schwab's not going to play 5 games and that'll be done? I thought, and Marty plays the rest, right? That's how it goes? Yeah, isn't that nice? Oh, we got Van Wiesbroek this year? Okay, great. He can play 6, or actually Van Wiesbroek could play like 2.
It was weird because if you remember, Marty came back later that season. He does the all-time wins, right? If I remember correctly. It was the 2008-2009 season. Marty comes back. No, it wasn't the John McLean.
It wasn't that. Am I getting them confused? Am I getting my teams confused?
I think you're getting. They made the playoffs that year. They definitely made the playoffs that year, and I remember that Clemenson's like, too bad you got this team in the playoffs, and you're not able to play because I think it was Marty and Kevin Weeks, I believe. Could be wrong.
Wasn't it? I thought. Whatever. Who cares? Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
we're getting
no one's listening.
I was listening. No, but either way, I mean, if we're getting our years and teams confused there, I'm not gonna, it's still kind of the same story though. Scott Clemenson still came in and he still played really strong. Oh yeah, like
absolutely.
if we didn't have him there, that team would have been lost.
Yep.
And he was able to. I think didn't he go down to Florida, or did he go down to Florida first? He went to Florida first and then he came back. Is that what it was? Or did he go to Florida after that?
I think he went to Florida after that. I think because I don't remember. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. It was something like that. But I mean, still, that he really saved the team that year with his play, and I don't think any of us were really expecting that. And talk about things unexpected. Another backup goaltender who I know everybody loved. The Moose, Johan Hedberg. What was it? The year we went to the finals, did we have both of them? And it was that they were both 40 years old, or was it the year prior? Yeah. We had two 40-year-old goaltenders, right? Or what was 40?
2012.
Is 20, right? 2012. Yeah. How often can you say that is something that's accomplishable? And you know what? The Moose played a fair amount of games at that point. Marty wasn't, doing the old 70 some games a season at that point in his career. Moose was fun. He was a lot of fun. He made a lot of big saves. He was clutch, and I don't know about you guys, but I had confidence in him. Sometimes, you get the backup goal, I go, oh boy. With the Moose coming in there, you felt good about it, like it felt like, not only is, you got a chance in this game, you're likely to win, but it was fun. It was fun. Those Moose calls were fun. Everyone loved doing it, and you could hear it throughout the arena.
Well, if you remember 2001, the Eastern Conference Finals for Pittsburgh in net was
for
Johan
Pittsburgh.
Hedberg.
Yep.
And I actually got a kick out of all the Moose chants back then. And when he signed with the Devils.
Oh, we immediately took to it.
Oh, it's just like,
bam. Yeah. Boom. We're on it. Yeah.
His time with the Manitoba Moose and, that whole thing. I mean, that was great. I mean, and made it fun, that you can chant it. Anytime he made a save, stoppage and play,
Moose, everything. And he loved it too. He knew it. He heard it. He was great, man. And, you mentioned another one, a couple of guys, bigger names that maybe, they weren't on the team too long, but you said Kevin Weeks. I remember Weeks, he got hurt. He tore, I don't remember what he tore, his ACL or something like that, MCL. Kirk McLean, who eventually, was the goaltender that took the Canucks to the finals that, the Rangers won the year prior. Sean Burke, who we've had on the podcast.
Yep.
There's a long story with Berkey, but he had a great career, as an NHLer, playing goal, going to the playoffs. Wait a minute, did he win the cup? Did he win a cup?
No. I don't think he did.
No, he did
came
not.
Close.
But playoff runs, yes, absolutely. A couple different teams there. Philly. Did he get? I think he was with the then Phoenix Coyotes, right? I think he had the old logo, the old cartoon coyote jersey. I like those. I don't know why everyone hated them.
His mask was awesome. His mask, is awesome. I would love to take that mask and take that same design and put it on a motorcycle or something. It is so badass. Simple design, and it just represents everything about being a goalie and a New Jersey Devil. And it's old school. It's got the green in it.
But Kirk McLean, Sean Burke, Mike Dunham, he was a big prospect as well. He had a pretty decent career with
Nashville Predators.
Was it Nashville? I was going to say, was it Carolina or Nashville? Nashville. Yeah, he eventually ended up on the Rangers. Then, of course, our buddy Keith Kincaid, who we know was growing up out there in Long Island, was a big Marty fan, though, his entire youth. And it was actually a dream come true for him to be able to play on the Devils. So lots of good.
Awesome. Here's a name. Roland Melanson. Ooh, isn't he the goalie coach? Rolly the goalie coach? Yes, but also played with the New Jersey Devils. Ron Lowe. Remember when Ron Lowe was getting schlacked? Mm-hmm. And then the Mickey Mouse comment from the great one, Wayne Gretzky, defending his teammate. Let's see. Rich Sholmistra, Peter Sidorkowitz. Remember those names?
Oh, Peter, I can't lift my glove hand past my shoulders. Sidorkowitz. Yes, I remember that. Poor guy. Remember those Ottawa teams that he was stuck on? Woof. Woof. Those early Ottawa Senator teams were horrible.
Well, Getty 27 writes, Craig Billington, Chris Terreri tandem. Burke and then Mike Dunham, some of my faves, a geeky gamer family, saying Schneider because his era was so underwhelming, but he had to replace Marty. So, and also Hedberg and Beezer, John Van Beesbrook, one of his favorites.
Right now, I think what we should do, though, Sam Wu, is talk at least one more story. I'm sure everyone's got their favorite moment, but what is one of your favorite moments? And by the way, you know what? We didn't talk about I'll just mention it real quick. I'll never forget it. You kind of brought it up. The Islanders Corey Schwab fight against poor what was it? Tommy Sanderstrom, whatever it was. Sunstrom?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Soderstrom's,
whatever. I was there. I saw that.
Awesome.
Corey Schwab skated right at me. I used to sit behind the goal. That's where my old season tickets were, the old 10-pack or 12-pack that we used to get. We used to go to. And that was one of the rivalry games that we got that year was the Islanders. And I was there for that. Never, ever forget it. I went home and I remember taping, NHL Tonight on ESPN2. I remember taping the highlight because I was so pumped with it. So, yeah. But Martin Brodeur, Sam Wu, when I say that name, what are some of the first things that come to your mind when I say Martin Brodeur?
I've got personal stories and I've got hockey stories. The first thing that comes into mind, it's kind of a rarity. Mm-hmm. I think it was Game 1, Eastern Conference Finals against Philadelphia, 1995, and it was at the Spectrum. And it was a rivalry like no other. Going for the Cup Finals, Eric Lindros, Hart Trophy season. It was physical. And I think there was a guy named Gilbert Dion standing in front of the crease of Marty, bumps into him. Do you know this play? And Marty takes his
I was just impressed
stick.
with your pronunciation.
I think that's what I don't know. And he takes his paddle of his stick and whacks him like a Tanya Harding, Nancy Kerrigan type thing, going back to the era, right?
Okay, all right, okay.
Guy and then puts him in a full Nelson afterwards. And Ron Hextall is skating up center ice, threatening to throw off his gloves and fight. And it's on YouTube. and I'll put it out on social media later. That I was like, there's something special. I don't know why. I was like, there's something special about this goalie.
Very nice.
And Marty doesn't fight either. Yeah, he doesn't fight either.
No. It's funny you bring up the 2-on-0 stuff with Lemieux and Yager, because that's one of the things I always think about with Marty, and those just incredible saves, and just leaving. It was a Lemieux, right? That was just shaking his head there.
Yep.
That at that point, I mean, he was so, like, you couldn't rattle him. I feel like at that point, like, he was just on flat. Like you were just saying, like, Marty's not a fighter. He's not like in there getting in people's faces and everything like that. He always seemed to be so calm under pressure. Don't know how he did it, but like when you're standing there and you're like 2-on-0 with Lemieux and like, how are you not just like losing it? That's oh man. That is one of the first things.
His happy-go-lucky attitude was infectious. It calmed the team down. Gave you a heart attack sometimes, Marty Brodeur.
Sometimes. And I'll always remember, also I always think about him is doing the pad stack, where he comes out with the glove hand kind of just like, it's like cocked and ready to go, it's just, but you got those pads stacked there and just like, boom, you just see that glove come up. That was the playoff one. That was the Flyer series. I think he did that. I just think of those.
I'll tell you,
when he used to do the splits with the poke check, he just was so fluid out there, and he wasn't like, Marty was unlike anybody else the way he played the game. He was that hybrid style of goalie, and he just always seemed to be there doing those acrobatic moves. And
one save that stands in mind, it was a crucial one against the Dallas Stars.
Mm-hmm.
You remember Brett Hull in front of the crease, point blank range, and Marty snapped it out of the air, just point blank range. Like I think Marty gave up the rebound. Hull was right in front, and Marty stretched out his glove and saved the puck. It was kind of, I remember that, watching that, and it was like the puck disappeared, because your brain is trained thinking Hull has scored that goal, but no, it was like the puck disappeared in Marty's glove out of nowhere. Like you would have never thought that it could be humanly possible to make that save. Obviously the Scorpion save, if you remember that one.
Yes,
ridiculous.
Of course. Flicking his leg back. Yes. Whenever Marty would play Hasek, like Sabres Devils or Red Wings Devils, you really had to wonder, like, is anyone going to score tonight? I really don't know if anyone's going to score tonight at all. One goal is really going to be what decides this, But yeah, just so many incredible saves. I always go back to the time. We were actually talking about it when we were talking about Michael Grabner recently, when we were doing about the forwards. Marty, we were lucky enough to hang out with him that St. Patrick's Day, like all day long. He just hung out with us at the bar, and just his memory was just on recall like that. Being able, if you don't know what I'm talking about, we were talking about Michael Grabner, and at one point he had a breakaway, and we were mentioning it to Marty. One time we were hanging out with him at a St. Patrick's Day. We got all inside information that the man was going to be hanging out at a specific bar, so we just happened to change our plans to, go there on St. Patrick's Day. Yeah, oh, shoot. Oh, yeah, I always wanted to try that place. Are you kidding me? Yeah, I hear the wings there are amazing. Let's go and see what's going on there. Oh, hey, Mr. Brodeur, how you doing, sir? It was like Chris Farley. You remember when you were with the Devils and you stopped that shot against Eric Lindros? That was awesome.
and conveniently, you pull out a Sharpie and a puck from your back pocket. Be like, "You want to sign this?"
Oh man, no, that was a great time. But his recall in that moment, it was literally just a snap of the fingers, and all of a sudden he was right there. Oh yeah, when this guy comes down, he likes to do this sort of move, and he dips his shoulder, and he makes this little twitch and everything. He's done it to me a couple times. I know it. I got him. It's just like what? Like just by saying the name Michael Grabner, all of that just came into your brain right there, sir. Thank you. Please play every game in goal for us forever. Like his mind just being able to, process the game in that sense and recall is why he's the best. That's why he's the best.
Yeah, I have a Marty personal story. I mean, can I tell it? I don't think I've ever told this before. This story.
Oh boy. Is it the time that he had to call the cops about like that strange guy in the Marty uniform going back and forth at his house? Is it that story?
Close.
Okay.
It wasn't the story that my cousin, went to a book signing in the goalie gear. and Marty asked for him to stay afterwards so he can autograph more gear, afterwards. Gotta talk to my cousin about that. The cousin that names his fish after his kids. Anyway, actually, I don't think I've ever told this story before. One time, Hugh Weber of the New Jersey Devils, Hugh, he sometimes talks to the season ticket holders, and I was one of the first people to greet him. So he said, yeah, let's catch up sometime. And I go to his office, go up the elevator, third floor. They greet me. They say, Mr. Wu, would you like some coffee or anything to drink? The secretary, all that. Oh, whatever. And then Hugh's like, hey, before we go to lunch, I want you to meet somebody. And that was Marty's, I think it was Marty's first month, his front office job. And I got to meet Marty, and, I almost froze, and I saw him. I was like,
did you swoon like a fangirl? Is that what you're trying to say there, Sam?
The only thing I could think of.
Marty!
The only thing I could think of, as I'm shaking his hand, the only thing I could think of is my cousin Marty Wu. But I'm right. I was like, welcome to New Jersey.
I met you before, sir. I think you have my autograph.
And then we proceeded to go out to lunch at what's that deli? It's
Hobie's.
Yeah.
Hobie's,
whatever deli. And here I am having lunch with Martin Brodeur, and he's telling the story about how in Montreal that it's mandatory to have snow tires, and they actually have rental lockers for your snow tires when you have to change to your regular tires, because most people in Montreal don't have garages. They live in apartments or whatever. And that's my Martin Brodeur story. But it was really cool, though. It was really cool.
There you go.
You're kind of like in awe. You're like this. And you try not to, I try to act normal.
All right. And because I know we're coming to the end here, I just want to say it's another story I know I've told before, but one of my favorite all-time Marty stories is just being at the 552 game back then, and what was it, 2009, on for St. Patrick's Day. My birthday happens to be the day after, March 18th, and it was a long-standing tradition that Beer Baron was a part of for many years, that me and just some friends would go out to the Devils game on my birthday. And that game in particular was just one of, not only just because he broke the record, but that night was just a special night. Like, the place was packed. There was a lot of drinking going on because it was St. Patrick's Day and everything like that, but everyone was just in such a good mood because they knew what was about to happen. hopefully, everyone was ready for it. Patrick Elias, also coming through, but Marty made some incredible saves that night on some young players, and that experience, watching him cut the netting off the back and everything, and skating around with it. It was just one of those Marty moves right there that, that is just one of the greatest nights. I still got the ticket framed, everything. Every now and then you could catch the game on the NHL Network and you could just hear, like that atmosphere and that intensity, in that crowd. And Marty made some incredible saves that night. So if you've never seen that game, watch it. And it's fun too. It's like, oh, hello, Zach Parise and Jamie Langenbruder and Travis Zajac and everybody. It's like, oh hey, how's it going, guys?
Yeah. I will say though, that game, 552, and Game 6 against the Rangers in the playoffs in 2012.
In 2012.
The atmosphere and the confidence that we're going to win before the game was exactly the same. Like, it was our night. It doesn't matter what happens. I don't care if we fall 5-0. We're still winning this stupid game. That was the mindset. And you went in there positive. There was nothing that could go wrong. And that feeling, I haven't had that feeling since Game 6. Nearly 9 years ago. 9 years.
Well,
I haven't had that feeling since.
We're hoping that, in the future, whenever we do one of these best and worst of all time, we'll be talking about Mackenzie Blackwood a lot more because we really didn't even get to focus on him. So let's hope that we're talking about Mackenzie Blackwood in a future show of the best New Jersey goaltenders of all time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Scotty, it was a great podcast. We've got a lot of big things happening. For season 5. Also, I want to thank all the nice this past week. I've gotten a lot of nice messages about my application for becoming the Devils PA announcer, being the next one, and I wrote a blog on it on pucksandpitchforks.com. I want to thank everybody. Also, I want to dispel the rumors that I'm already it. No, that's not true. I got a couple questions about that on Facebook. Is it true that some people are saying that? I was like, no. I just applied just like everyone else. I'm just like everyone else. I'm waiting.
You're in the contest. Like it's your journey through the contest. That's what we're talking about here, everyone. Yes. Sam Wu is just like you. We're all the same. Yes. We're just fans.
And I got some Bitcoins for you, Hugh Weber. You can kind of rig the. No, I'm just kidding. It wouldn't be right. I just hope it goes to a big-time Devils fan. And also, thank you for all the happy birthday wishes. I got about 300 of them. So I want to thank everybody. But I also want to thank you, Scotty.
You stole my final thought there, Sam Wu. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I also want to thank you, Scotty, because it's not easy.
What did I do?
Not easy doing a podcast on a holiday weekend. We commit to this, and I'm thinking season 5 is going to have a lot of stuff. Just a lot of stuff. Season 5. It's going to be a lot of shenanigans on the Let's Go Devils podcast. That's all I have to say.
All right.
Go ahead. What did you want to say?
Well, my final thought was happy birthday, Sam Wu. But you already went and going to spoil that, Jeez.
Sorry about that.
God. Jeez. Happy birthday to the best hockey podcast producer over there. He never takes a shift off. That's Sam Wu, everybody.
Thank you. And the Wu Report will be coming back soon. Took a little break from that because there was no Devils news. That's
just
it.
After I say he never takes a shift off, he talks about, we're just taking a break in the old Wu Report. All right,
Thank you,
Samu.
everybody. Have a great rest of the holiday weekend. Till next time, let's go Devils.
Woo!